Thank you. I want to share with you a few thoughts. I was up at Concord earlier today with my grandson, 5-year-old Jaden, great-grandson of Governor Thomson. Along with our grandson of 5 years old, there are many children across this entire nation, and there's some here today that are worried. There's one sign over here about your piggy bank. Stay out of my piggy bank. And that is so true. But what has happened in the last 6 months in Washington, D.C. is their future has just been mortgaged. This is clearly taxation without representation of our children throughout this nation. Our founding fathers, as well as my father, would be rolling over in their graves today in total disgust. The New Hampshire Tea Party today symbolizes a crossroads in our history. We will either follow like lemmings down the road that drops over a cliff into bankruptcy, or we will take the more difficult road and fight to take back our state and our nation. My father had many great slogans that he lived by. Axe the tax was one. And would you hold that up, sir? This was another one. Low taxes are the result of low spending. This slogan is as appropriate today and maybe more meaningful at this moment than it was 35 years ago. I would like to share with you a little bit of an article my father wrote, which I believe has brought us here today, some 236 years after the Boston Tea Party. And the title of it was The Power to Destroy. Taxation without representation was the firebrand that touched off the American Revolution, now 200 years later. We have taxation without responsible representation, and often misrepresentation. The power to tax is the power to destroy. With every tax imposed, a freedom is lost. I checked, or when he made that statement 38 years ago, every man, woman, and child in this nation under the public debt was $4,000. As of yesterday, I checked the national debt clock, and each one of us today, including our children, have a $36,539, which is predicted to rise because of the spending in Concord. I believe in Senator Judd Gregg, who had it right when he recently said, the spending we have seen in Washington, D.C. is not, and I repeat, not sustainable. If we continue down this road, we will be bankrupt in 10 to 15 years. Just look, and when we can come back to New Hampshire and look at our $11.5 billion budget that the House just passed and is sent over to the Senate. This too is not sustainable. Just look at what the House passed last week. A tobacco tax of 35-cent increase per pack. A room and meals tax which will increase to 8.75 cents. A gambling tax that will be 10% of your winnings. A death tax, if you haven't paid enough taxes already, a death tax of 8%. A capital gains tax of 5%. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, a gas and diesel tax of 15 cents a gallon. If you want to drive out the small truckers or truckers in this state, then pass that 15-cent diesel tax. I can tell you, I've done the math, and over 6 years, the 15 cents that they had spread out will cost one truck that runs 100,000 miles a year $15,000 additional in that 6-year period. And who's that going to be passed on to? You, the consumer. Enough is enough. Enough is enough, and I'm mad as hell, and I think you are too. Join me and other taxpayers and send a clear message to our elected officials that if they vote to pass any tax increases or fees on our citizens during this major recession, we will vote you out of office. I call on Governor John Lynch today to stand up for the taxpayers and tell our lawmakers that he will veto House Bill 2, the budget, if it comes to his desk with increased taxes during this recession. And let me tell you a little secret, folks. The gas tax and diesel tax, they didn't take a vote on it in the House. They slipped it over into House Bill 2 with the budget. They did the same thing with the capital gains, and they did the same thing with the inheritance tax. I'm calling on Governor Lynch today to veto that bill if it comes to his desk. And I have here today, and I will share this with the governor. This is a pen that my father used to veto 80-plus bills in his 6 years. It was. But he didn't hide in the corner office. He came out and he told the legislators if there was a bill that was going to hurt the taxpayers in the state of New Hampshire, he told them right up front, if that comes to my desk, I will veto it. And that's what this governor needs to do. Our government was formed to serve the people. We must insist that our state and federal government, like us, live within our means. I, for one, refuse to become a servant to the government who is more concerned with sticking their greedy hand in our pocketbooks and extracting more dollars of our hard-earned money to build a bigger government. I choose to live by our famous state motto, live free or die. Thank you very much. And one more time, axe the tax, axe the tax.